Howdy folks, I'm Brian. Here's some advice. Let's read some Reddit here. So the first story, this was posted 15 hours ago when I'm reading this. Am I a jerk for pressing charges? It seems like it's going to be interesting. I'm sorting by top, and we'll read what the top Reddit posts for today are. Am I a jerk for pressing charges? My cousin turned 18 recently. She's in high school. She doesn't have a car, and during her birthday weekend, thought her parents were going to buy her one. They didn't get her one, and she was pretty upset. I should note that I'm not very close to my cousin, or the rest of my extended family for that matter. I only heard about this through the grapevine from my dad. Anyway, my cousin texted me on Friday before her birthday asking if she can take my car. I just leased a new one to the mall, and she wanted to go out to the town for a road trip with her friends over the weekend. I tell her no. I can see where this is going. She begs and pleads with me. I tell her no again. My car is for me to drive and me only. If she wants her own car, she can save up and buy one. She calls me a bee and says that I ruined her birthday and that she's embarrassed because her friends think she got a car for her birthday and she doesn't have one. I don't respond to her and I think nothing of it. We can see this train wreck coming from a mile away. The weekend comes and I sleep in very late on that Saturday and I wake up at 1 p.m. Don't judge. Even though my car is parked in my driveway and my gate is closed, I come to realize that somebody has egged and TP'd my car. Oh no, with many, many, many eggs and 5 to 6 rolls of toilet paper. And since the weather was warm outside, the raw egg baked into my car along with the dried roll up toilet paper, destroying the paint. Oh no. Since I have security cameras around my house, I decided to go back and watch. At around 9:30ish that morning, my cousin and a bunch of her stupid friends vandalized my car. I'm surprised that they didn't smash the windows and poke holes in the tires too. To save my post from the 3,000 character limit, I obviously pressed charges, and my cousin is in legal trouble. Her and her parents are mad at me for pressing charges. Her parents are telling me that she's just a kid, and that she's been through a lot of emotional stress through virtual schooling for the past year, and that I should take that into consideration. And that I should be ashamed of myself for pressing legal charges against my baby cousin. And that I'm almost 30, and that I don't remember what it was like to be at that age. I do remember, and I wasn't stupid enough to egg someone's car. And she can't work something out with me, like doing chores around my house for money if I drop the charges, and that she's young and she doesn't need a felony on her record, etc., and that it was just a prank. Right after I pressed charges, my cousin was calling and texting me over and over saying that this could have been avoided had I let her take my car. Am I the jerk in this situation? I need to add that my cousin has already a felony on her record. She has a DUI. Oh no, she's not remorseful or anything. Also, my aunt and uncle will not pay for the damages. They just want me to drop the charges and pay for everything myself like nothing happened. They are cheap. Wow. Oh no, this is such a bad situation. I mean, no, of course you're not the jerk here. Man, like, the trouble I have with this situation right now here is that she is young, but she knows better. I mean, she knew better than to egg your car, and maybe she didn't mean for your paint job to get ruined, which I think is, I don't know if she knew that would ruin your paint job. It's really hard to say her motivations. I personally would, give someone a second chance, but again, like, different situations call for different situations. I think that maybe immediately pressing charges was a little bit of a kind of knee-jerk reaction, but if you had talked over with them and tried to figure out a situation or try to figure out a payment plan or any number of things, then this could have worked out differently, and you could have probably used the pressing charges as leverage. With that said, I mean, she certainly deserves to have charges pressed against her. But her friends also deserve to have charges pressed against them. So I certainly think that while, your cousin is in the wrong here, all of her friends who helped her egg the car are also in the wrong here. And, they all together should work towards paying you back and essentially, make sure that you are compensated for the damages to your car. If that makes any sense. So that's what I say. I say that you should contact not just her family, but her friends' families, and that all of these young people who did this to your car should learn a lesson from it, and they should definitely be, not egging people's cars and destroying people's properties. So that's my opinion here. Let's move along. That story didn't actually go the way I thought it was going to go. I thought she was going to steal your car. I don't know. The first thing I thought was like, oh, she's going to steal your car and go to the mall. Not egg your car. Here's our next story. Am I the jerk for getting my neighbors arrested because of a dog? Throwaway because I'm extremely paranoid. There's a lot of context to this point, so hopefully it's easy to follow along because it has been building concern. My neighbors have been a menace since they moved in 2 years ago. Non-stop backyard parties, they still do this despite the whole virus, yelling matches both inside and out of their house, and trying to steal packages from my house, and the list goes on. None of that really mattered to me, but this was the last straw when they got a new dog. He's a beautiful Doberman Pinscher who they got when he was still relatively small. I estimate that he was around 2 months old when they got it. And, well, if I know anything about these dogs, they grow extremely fast within the first few months if they are taken care of. It's been a little over a year since they got him, and he's grown almost to full size, but living in a tiny single-family home. My neighbors have been leaving him outside at all hours, in any weather, and he's extremely nervous and easily startled, so any noise sets him off barking. I noticed that he was severely underweight. His ribs and waist are very obvious, even from far away. Obviously, I was really concerned about him, and I called the local authorities as an anonymous tip for possible case of animal neglect. Where I might be the jerk. Well, the cops did come, and they arrested both of my neighbors after they searched their house for more than just animal neglect. They found hard drugs and illegal weapons, and so their dog was taken, but their son was also taken by Child Protective Services. My mom says that I should have just let it be since it's not my dog and I ruined a whole family over an animal, and that I should have known that they were going and doing stuff like this because of the past actions. I really don't think I'm wrong here for caring for the well-being of a living thing, but the fact that they are now on the hook for all this other stuff makes me feel like that I may have gone to them first, that I should have gone to them first. Edit, someone said I'm worried more about the dog than the child, so I wanted to clarify that I didn't even know they had a kid. I found out when the police came. If I knew that the baby was there, then trust me, I would have called the authorities earlier. If they found hardcore drugs and these people were to the point where they were neglecting a child, then that probably wasn't going to be a very good situation for that child anyways. And sometimes, the world works in mysterious ways. I don't necessarily think that you were the jerk here. I think that this was an unfortunate situation. If they were neglecting the dog, there's a good chance they were probably neglecting their child too. It's a sad situation, but no, I don't think that you were entirely in the wrong here. But again, it's a tough call. This isn't like your neighbors were playing loud music, and so you called the cops on them, and they got evicted, and otherwise they were decent individuals. This was kind of a situation where there's a lot of problems, and this was just one more problem on top of many other problems. So, without knowing the child's specific situation, it's hard to say whether or not it was a good thing for the child to be taken away. So, again, that's a really hard thing to make an overall judgment on. But we can only hope that the child, if they were taken away, then it was because they were being neglected. And if they were being neglected, then hopefully they can end up in a better situation. Although, unfortunately, foster care systems aren't necessarily as good as they could be. So, yeah, it's a sad situation, but I can't necessarily judge you badly for wanting to ensure that the well-being of another living creature was accounted for. So, that's just my personal take. So our next story is, will I be the jerk if I, a 22-year-old female, gave my boss an ultimatum involving my pregnant coworker, a 29-year-old female? All right, and Reddit's already judged this one. I work as a teacher in the infant room at a daycare. I was recently promoted in like June or July, and I love my job. The way the center works is with 2 head teachers who co-care and teach the children, and some aides who move from room to room. In early August, my co-teacher announced that she was pregnant. I was super happy for her and tried to be as accommodating as possible. She couldn't lift the heavier kids, no problem. I'd take on the task. Doctor's appointment, we can switch shifts, and I'm fine with being alone with an aide. Not feeling well? Head home early. I've got this. The way my mind functions is that if I'm super accommodating and kind, God forbid something happens to me, someone will be there for me. Well, it's been about 3 months, and half of those days my co-teacher has called out sick without warning, and has been coming in later and later. The days that she is here, she refuses to do anything, and she's super irritable and uncommunicative. She'll snap at me for doing things while I'm working with someone else, or doing something for another child, and she refuses to change diapers. Sometimes it feels like she does sit in a cozy corner with one kid. I can feel the tension in the room, and I'm getting more and more tired. One day she calls off. If anything happens before my shift, I get stuck doing damage control. I sometimes feel like a single parent for like 10 babies, and I'm becoming more and more run down and tired. I've tried to talk to her about it, but I always climb up because she starts talking about her pregnancy and how hard it is. I've never been pregnant, so how would I know how difficult it was? I'm so tired. I love my job, but I feel like I'm the only one working in the classroom that has 2 teachers. I want to give my boss an ultimatum, either help her get in line or I leave. I know this will shake up the center because I've been extremely reliable. And they only promote aides who have a track record of fantastic behavior for the infant room. They have no one who is available to take over, and would be stuck without a teacher during the time when staffing is already low. But I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave them hanging. I love my job, and I love a lot of the people I work with. In addition, I feel like I might be being a bee because my coworker is pregnant, but I can't keep up with all the work that needs to be done, and I'm especially irritated that she just sits and watches me do everything. So will I be a jerk? This one is a difficult situation. I'm just going to say, for starters, no, you're not entirely the jerk here. Maybe 1 star at best, 1 out of 5. But the trouble here is that you kind of gave her a lot of leniency to begin with, and it looks like she took that to the extreme. And it looks like she's taken advantage of your goodwill here, and that she's not being considerate towards you. Now, I haven't been pregnant, and that is not within my biology, so it's not something I would have to worry about anyways. But I imagine, I have worked with people who have been pregnant, and they've been able to do their jobs with, some accommodations right up to the very end. And, usually they'll need like a week or 2 off before they give birth, and then usually there's after they give birth, they have some kind of maternity leave. So at some point in time, this is going to have to end anyways, I would imagine, because she's going to have to go on maternity leave, and then, or she might not have to, but she probably is going to go on maternity leave. So I would say that in some ways you've kind of unfortunately fallen into the trap of, giving an inch and taking a mile. And you gave her an inch, she took a mile, and she's continuing to take advantage of your good nature and your reliability. With that said, it might be good to bring your supervisor into the loop. You should have probably brought your supervisor into the loop sooner and explained the situation and explained how you are dealing with things. And then maybe they could have worked at a better solution before this spiraled out of control. I wouldn't necessarily give them an ultimatum because I think that's a bit unfair to just spring on someone out of the blue, but I do think that you should talk to your supervisor, and I think you should try to work out the situation. And I also think that you probably should have sought intervention sooner. So I think that's probably where you went wrong here. So good luck. I hope that you're able to get things worked out with your coworker and your place of work. I'm glad that you love your job other than this small hiccup. And hopefully in the future, you can take this as kind of a lesson learned and know that sometimes there are people who will take advantage of a situation and they won't pull their weight if you give them that opportunity. Good luck. Our next story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Letting My Son Do Girly Things When I Know His Father Hates It? I don't know if I actually need to read this one. I will, but I'm going to pretty much make a snap judgment and say, no, you're not a jerk. But let's read it and see what we can come up with. I was with my ex for 5 years, and we separated a year ago. Ex was a terrible partner, financial abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, just a peach, and not a good father. I stopped working for medical reasons when my son was born. My ex works about 40 hours a week. This is important because him working meant that my son spent most of his time with me. Ex never took care of her son. By the time the kiddo was about 15 months old, his father still didn't know his bedtime routine. He never played with him, only fed and changed him when I asked, etc. I was a single mom, but with a roommate. When I finally got the courage to leave, I couldn't afford a place of my own, and so I moved in with my mom. We stayed for 5 months with her. On to the issue. My son is almost 3 and absolutely loves nail polish, lipstick, jewelry, and hair accessories. I really think it's partly because he basically lived with only women. 24/7 with me when I was still with my ex and my mom, and then me alone when I was just living with him. So he just wants to do the things that he does with adults around him, I guess. And that's, of course, also because of just who he is. Anyways, when I put on nail polish, my son wants to do the same. So I put some on, like 1 or 2 fingers on each hand, and he asks for lipstick when I do mine, so I put on a teeny bit on his lower lips. Mine makeup is organic and allergen-free. My mom gave me some cheap jewelry that she doesn't wear anymore, and my son loves wearing it, like necklaces and wristbands. My ex sees his son twice a month, Saturday morning to Saturday afternoon. When he sees our son with nail polish and jewelry, he freaks out. He just hates it. Here is where I might be the jerk. Ex told me that when it comes to decisions about our son, we should be both involved. On principle, I agree because he's still the father after all. But only on this particular subject? No. I pretended not to understand what he was talking about all the girly stuff, and said, and I agreed. If my son wants to wear a sparkly pink necklace, I'm not going to let his father's fragile masculinity stop it. And it's not like his son acts like a girl anyways, whatever that is. He plays with trucks, toy guns, loves soccer, and rolling around in the mud, etc. He just does it while wearing nail polish and hairbands. X expects me to stop allowing it. I won't. When my son goes to his dad's, I remove the nail polish and keep the jewelry with me because I don't want him to be grounded or berated for it. But when he's with me, I let him be. X saw some pictures on my social media and went on a rant about how I was doing this despite him. And to be honest, yeah, I would let my son do it anyways, but the fact that his dad hates it just makes me a tiny bit happier. My mom thinks that I'm a jerk because morally it's wrong to enjoy pissing off your kid's other parent, and because I played dumb about agreeing to make decisions with him, but didn't go through with it. Only about this subject, though. I'm still involved with everything else. I know it makes me immature and petty, but I don't think I'm a jerk. Am I a jerk? No. No, you're not a jerk. Your son likes doing this, and you don't need to discourage him from doing it. There's really nothing inherently girly about wearing makeup or jewelry. That is just largely a social construct. If you look through history, there's lots of instances where men wear jewelry and makeup, and it's just kind of culturally what we accept as male and female type of things, or girly or masculine type of things. And my opinion is do what you enjoy, and it doesn't matter what other people have to say. Now, again, the one concern I have here is that at some point in time, your son might have this stuff on when he's around his father, and his father may very well berate him and make fun of him and kill his, ambition or his, what he likes about that. So that's my one caution here. So no, I don't think you're a jerk. All right, so this is our last story for the day. So let's read it. Am I a jerk for refusing to come back from Korea? About 3 years ago, I decided to sell everything I own, a condo, car, belongings, and move to Korea. I'm currently working in a private company, and I have a good job in an apartment. I have no interest in returning to the US at all. I can't blame you. When the pandemic started, my family began to beg me to come home to be with family, and I refused. I've told my family before the world shut down that I have no interest in returning to the US for anything. If they want to see me, they can meet me somewhere in Europe, Canada, even Mexico, but I'm not going to go home to visit. I have even offered to meet in the literal middle in Nome, Alaska. I have no interest in being on the mainland US. I have personal reasons for this, but my sister and mother are telling me that I'm being stubborn and want that I should come home and visit. I have said that they should come and visit me in my new home and see a new country. They refuse. So I think we're just going to have to be happy talking on the phone. Am I the jerk? I'm going to say no for the most part here. I think that everyone kind of involved here is being stubborn. I can't blame you for wanting to not come back to the US, especially during the coronavirus outbreak, and I don't even know if you would be able to be quite honest. But it sounds like this is actually a deeper problem than that. I was kind of assuming that they were saying that you should come home right now or something to that effect, which it does sound like there is some of that. But, I think that overall you should, if you don't want to see your family, then I guess then you're going to have to, decide that is more important than stepping foot in the US. So I would try to, continue to work out. Well, you offered to go to Alaska, which is the US. Try offering Hawaii. I don't know. Maybe there are a couple places here that they would be willing to visit you at. So maybe you just have to find the right place. So good luck with all that. I think that, again, both sides here are being stubborn and that you folks should work something out. That's just my take. So anyhow, folks, I hope you enjoyed this show, and I guess I'll see you all later. Take care, and bye.